Yeah. Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington has shot ghost again. He says he's on assignment, but I'm not sure where we can find Santiago, or that is Mike Washington. With that being said, I have the best in the business besides that, which is Charles Bishop, so we're going to nail it out. But I do have a couple of other colleagues that's going to bring it home as well. So welcome to episode 556 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I have Wilton Jackson the second, as well as A.D. Drew, giving you four individuals that's going to give you some great insight for the week of HBCU sports. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Doc. Got some homecoming activities going on at Texas Southern, but definitely be remiss. I want to send prayers. One of the best to ever do it in the business. John Amos passed today, so definitely, for those who don't know, James Evans from Good Times, one of the best to ever do it. Yeah, Roots, Kunta Kinte as well. So
yeah, he did it big time. Got a lot of love for us, so certainly want to give him a shout out as he was
coming to America.
That's probably the one that really a lot of the folks a little younger than understand and remember that as well. With that being said, Wilton Jackson II, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, Dr. Cavil. It's another week of college football. I hated to see Texas Southern get beat down like that in Houston, but it was a good weekend.
Don't even start all that. We're still friends. You want to remain on the show. You don't need to come over here telling those little fibs like that. Just be nice. But I got you. Wilton Jackson II, and let me emphasize the second for those that don't know. A.D. Drew, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fine. While we're talking about John Amos, let's not forget Dikembe Mutombo and Pete Rose, who passed on yesterday.
Yeah.
The Hit King and no.
Not in my house.
Dikembe.
Sure. With that being said,
not in my house.
You know what this means, gentlemen.
What does that mean, Doc?
When you have this significant amount of folks that are becoming, particularly as I like to see it in the culture, as we like to talk about it, becoming ancestors, it means people have to step in their shoes, which often means that you and I and others are becoming elders.
It's a very good point.
Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, Charles, what's some of the news of the day that has you thinking hot to trot this weekend?
Sure, let's take a look at the SWAC Football Weekly Honors for the week of September 30th. The SWAC is tabbed Jackson State's Jacoby Morgan and Travis Terrell Jr., Alcorn's Jacorian Sewell and Edwin Simmerer, along with Alabama State's Brandon Gilliam for SWAC Football Weekly Honors. Let's take a look at their performances this past week. Jacoby Morgan, he was co-offensive player of the week. He contributed 281 yards of total offense this past Saturday in Jackson State's 43-14 win over Texas Southern. He was responsible for 4 touchdowns, including 2 rushing scores. Morgan also contributed via the passing game, completing 13 of 22 pass attempts for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. The co-offensive player of the week with Morgan was Sewell. Sewell delivered a dominant performance for Alcorn State during their 42-21 win in the Braves win over Mississippi Valley. He carried the ball 12 times for, get this, Doc, 164 yards, an impressive 13.7 yards per carry. Also broke free for a 55-yard touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Alcorn State's Edwin Simmerer. He grabbed 3 interceptions this past weekend in the Braves' 42-21 win over Mississippi Valley. And the specialist of the week was Brandon Gilliam. Gilliam was instrumental in Alabama State's huge 26-21 win over Bethune-Cookman. He went 4-5 from PATs. He also kicked in a career-long 49-yard field goal attempt. So those were your players of the week in the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Kudos for the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Those folks getting stuff done. Wilton, that's why I didn't give you the swag. You give us some updates on the MEAC. Who are the weekly honors for the MEAC?
Absolutely. So North Carolina Central quarterback Walker Harris and South Carolina State quarterback Eric Phoenix were named the MEAC co-offensive players of the week. South Carolina State
they showed off.
They did. Yeah. South Carolina State linebacker Aaron Smith earned Defensive Player of the Week honors, while teammate Kyle Gallegos was named Rookie of the Week. South Carolina State's Nick Tace and North Carolina Central's Warren Velarde received Offensive Lineman and Specialist of the Week honors. Just to give you a little bit about their stats this week, Harris completed 19 of 25 passes for 76% completion rating. He threw for 245 yards, including a season-high 4 touchdowns in North Carolina Central's 37-10 win over Norfolk State. Phoenix for South Carolina State completed 22 of 33 passes for 367 yards, including 3 touchdown passes in South Carolina State's 45-25 win over North Carolina A&T. For Smith, he registered 10 tackles with 7 solo stops and 1 pass breakup in the Bulldogs win over North Carolina A&T. Gallegos was a perfect 6 of 6 on point after attempts with a 42-yard field goal in the Bulldogs' victory over North Carolina A&T. The kicker also registered 475 yards on 8 kickoffs with 2 touchbacks. Tace recorded a 91% grade on his blocking assignments with 4 pancake blocks en route to leading the Bulldogs to 521 yards of total offense. Tace anchored the offensive line that contributed to 6 touchdowns in the win. Velarde recorded 6 points on 3 extra points and a 23-yard field goal in North Carolina Central's win over Norfolk State. He added 4 punts for 189 yards and 2 kicks inside the 20-yard line. Velarde's longest kick went for 62 yards.
Good stuff. Shout out to the MEAC players of the week. Obviously, shout out to the players of the week from the volleyball side for both the MEAC and SWAC, yes, as well as the SWAC from the women's soccer programs as well. We'll make sure we get that information out to you. But I did want to provide a little update. I did an interview with Twin Talks podcast earlier today. So when it's released, I'll make sure I send it out to the people. Check it out. I thought it was really some intriguing questions that went on with that interview. They're talking about the business of HBCU sports. And so I'll make sure the people get a chance to listen to that. With that being said, let's take a first break, come back on the other side, and we're going to get into some of these poll rankings so we can get AD Drew Wilton Jackson II, as well as Charles Bishop, their thoughts on the mid-major release in week number 4. Things are moving along pretty quickly here. We're going to see what y'all think about this week's mid-major poll. Not a lot of changes at the top. Those teams are more than just surprising folks. I think they're kind of settling in. We'll see how long they can do that at the end of the show to kind of see what y'all think of some big games this weekend. But the CIAA continues to have these top matchups. We'll see exactly what that means after this first break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Look like we got a little bit of the remix going there. Boy, I tell you, we still hip, we still hip. You might be elders, but we still a little hip with the hip hop in going in there. With that being said, without further ado, let's get into the top 7. We're gonna talk about those that dropped out. We do have 2 that dropped out this week, which means we got 2 that are jumping in. With those that are dropping out, we have Florida Memorial Lions in their first conference matchup. They took the loss, so they fall to 1-2-1. 0-1 as they jumped in the poll the last couple of weeks. They fell right back out. Fayetteville State Broncos, 2-2 on the season, 1-1 in terms of conference play. They fall out as well. Those receiving votes, we have 3 teams receiving votes, so we look at our collective 10. That's Livingston Blueberries 3-2, 1-1 as they start receiving votes and quietly are right there on the edge of being in the top 7. Where did that come from? Well, Albany State Golden Rams look like they've righted the ship as they improved to 2-2 and now are 2-0 in the SIAC with 116 points. Miles Golden Bears out of Alabama as well. They even their record to 500 at 2-2, but more importantly, they are 2-0 in the SIAC with 104 points. Let's get into the top 7, which is just full of the CIAA. We do have a couple of folks that have put their names in the mix. We'll see what that looks like. But starting out with that CIAA, as I told you, Virginia State Trojans They bounced back with a big win. They're 2-2. I told you last week, although they have a CIAA loss because they're only counting 7 games, they played 8 games. The first one on their side did not count in the CIAA standings. So they are at 1-0 in the conference race with 118 points and were not ranked last week. At number 6, you have the Shaw Bears. They took a tough loss. They fall to 3-2, which means they also fall in the poll. They take 2 spots tumbling down. They're 1-1 in conference play, 127. And ranked number 4, they took their loss last week. At number 5, the Virginia Union Panthers. They are at 2-2. They got a big victory over this Shaw Bears team, I should say. They're 1-0 in conference play because same as Virginia State, their loss in their first CIAA matchup was the 8th game, so it didn't count in the standings. So they're 1-0 in the CIAA. Just trust me, people. I looked at the site. You go argue with somebody else. I'm just telling you the facts from CIAA. Like it, talk to CIAA people. I don't make the rules. I just follow. 136 points. They were not ranked, so they jumped back into the poll rankings. At number 4, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets.
Wow.
Taking a team outside of the CIAA. You talk about the West Virginia Intercollegiate Athletic Conference over there. You have West Virginia State. The Yellow Jackets improved to 3-1, 2-0 in conference race, 140 points. They move up 2 spots in the rankings, and they're slowly doing their thing. At number 3, we're going to go back to the CIAA. Winston-Salem State Rams, 4-1, 2-0. They are quietly making a statement. They have 1 first-place vote, 172 points, and they are ranked and stay at number 3 spot as they have earned it this season. Bring us number 2. The lone SIAC team in the top 7 is none other than Clark Atlanta Panthers. I told you about these Panthers. Now you may think about it and say, all right, they're 4-0-1. That tie is the Florida Memorial with the rain council game, or they may be undefeated as well. They're 3-0 in conference race, 3 first-place votes, 177 points, and they remain at number 2. Surprise to most folks, it should no longer be a surprise because these Golden Bulls are for real. Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls are 5-0. They're 2-0 in the CIAA. 5 first-place votes with 196 points, and they remain at number 1. And this is for the 4th consecutive week as they continue to get it done. So they are making moves in terms of what that looks like. Shout out to the Golden Bulls in terms of the rankings for this week. With that being said, Charles, I'll start out with you. What are your thoughts in terms of Johnson C. Smith, who has earned the number 1 ranking for the 4th consecutive week? Who would have thought of it at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought it? But what jumps out is the matchups now. Now we got some interesting matchups coming into this week. We got a number 1 versus a number 7. We got Winston-Salem there sitting at 3 going against Virginia Union. Now the data is starting to come in, and now we got some ranked matchups going into this weekend. So that's what jumps out at me. We got a very good, I think, quarterback matchup when we take a look at Darius Ocean from Johnson C. Smith and Romello Williams this weekend when you take a look at that 1-7 matchup. So this is some good stuff, Doc. I love it when we get some data points.
You're right. This is 3 straight weekends where we get in the key matchup in the CIAA. The CIAA is the conference that just keeps giving love, at least in the early part of the season, with great matchups. With that being said, Wilton Jackson II, what are your thoughts on this week's top 7 in the major division rankings?
I'm okay with Johnson C. Smith being number 1. They've shown, for the last 4 weeks that they are the best team in the CIAA.
Man said he's okay with it.
I'm agreeing.
Wilton got comfortable. I like this. Go ahead.
They give my check mark for being number 1 in the rankings from the CIAA. Clark Atlanta, like I said, it's just been fascinating to watch what Coach Keaton has done with that program. I mean, not even just with David Wright, but you can just see the energy around Clark Atlanta and how they gravitate to him. Not even just Wright, but just Coach Keaton and what they're building in the culture of reestablishing what football means at Clark Atlanta. You have students. Personally, I know a lot of people that go to Clark Atlanta, and they are really, really, really excited about what Panthers football looks like on that campus. So really excited to see that. Winston-Salem State. Now, I remember A.D. Drew last week was saying, we don't know if Winston-Salem State is for real. I think with another win, they for real.
I think they for real.
You got to give them a little props. Like they taking that next step. They taking the leap. Now the only thing that I didn't necessarily like, and I don't necessarily know where the list went. I think you had West Virginia State at number 4.
Yes, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets were at number 4.
So on my list, I actually had West Virginia State at number 7. I put them a little lower, and I had some other teams ahead of them. But other than that, everybody else on the list is good. I agree with the teams.
Good stuff. I might make you slide. You bounced back really well there and got it together. I mean, you even committed yourself to memory, and you had it going with the West Virginia State verifying before you said. That's a job well done, Wilton. You know, you're starting to make it, man.
I appreciate it.
Saturday night, he showed up, showed out a little bit, you know, in Houston. Got some after the game comments, asked some great questions, great comments. AD Drew, we got a talented brother here with Wilton Jackson the second. With that being said, AD Drew, what are your thoughts on the top 7?
Young brother with no grade doing good over there, man. So
I see him kind of bristle when we say we becoming elders. Kind of set back.
I'm slowly coming that way.
I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Hey, Wilton. I remember when I used to be the youngest person in the room. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you for AD before he gets in there, I gotta give you these thoughts. You know what we do to the youngest person in the room? That individual has to go put in the work. They gotta get the food, they gotta go with the drinks. Charles remembers that.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Yep.
Donut runs.
We don't call it haze anymore.
Yeah,
we call it motivation.
Motivation. We call it motivation.
Yeah.
The initiation rituals.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I.e. hazing in a different way.
There you go. Teams 1 through 4, Dr. Cavil, I totally agree with that. That is, I think you just took what I voted and put those right into the poll right here, Dr. Cavil, because that's exactly how I voted 1 through 4. Actually, I'm kind of like Wilton 5, 6, 7. Although I flipped 6 and 7, I had the 2 Virginia schools ahead of Shaw. You know, Florida Memorial. Hey, they played the number 2 team in the country. You know, we've got to give them a little bit of a break that they played the number 2 team in the country. Fayetteville State. I don't know about Fayetteville State this year. And look out for the 2 teams from the SIAC. They will sneak back into the polls very soon. I expect to see, if they win, I expect to see them in next week, because the CIAA teams are going to start beating up on each other and knocking each other out. So that's going to open up an opportunity for the SIAC to come back into the poll rankings. May not do them any good when it comes to the regional rankings, but at least on this poll, this HBCU poll, they may get some love.
Very astute analysis, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. With that being said, let me give a quick shout out. It's homecoming here in Houston. That is here at Texas Southern University, and you're starting to hear the festivities kick up as they kicking up hard and early this week. With that being said, we're going to take our second break, come back on the other side, and see if we can give you some more great information on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us. Be right back after this next break.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. With that, I believe we have our next guest coming up. We were trying to get Coach Flowers in. I guess he's having a little technical difficulty as Drew works on that. Let me ask you a little bit, Charles, about the Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls as we work on that process. He was in the background, but I'm not sure if he's able to get in. What are your thoughts in terms of the early part of this year? What has Johnson C. Smith been able to do so well that puts them in a position where they ultimately are 5-0 overall and 2-0, including some big wins over the SIAC as they kick things off and they just continue to roll, and it seems like they're getting better.
Yeah, it seems as though they're getting better, but I mean, everything starts on the defensive side of the ball. They're only giving up 10 points a game. So that's the thing that jumps out for me with Johnson C. Smith thus far.
And here we have it, Coach Flowers of the Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. We're just talking about you being number one in the rankings. I know, Coach, that is secondary to a lot of things, but we just wanted to acknowledge what your team has done this week. This is the fourth consecutive week that they're being ranked number one. You started off with a fantastic season, 5-0, as you know, overall, and 2-0 in the conference race. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you very much for having us on. It's just great watching you on everything you do for HBCU football and just the platform that you all provide and just giving us, just notoriety and publicity and just helping all of our universities out. So I'm going to start there. But this has been a work in progress for the 2 years we've been on campus, and just supportive administration, good coaching staff, recruiting well, and we're playing some good defense. It starts on the defensive side of the football, and we're putting up some good points this year. Just very proud of our young men. They work hard. What we're getting on Saturdays really a lot of times really doesn't surprise us because we practice well, and we're a really good practice team, and just got to keep it going.
Good stuff. Charles, let me let you jump in here and ask the question.
Yeah, I started off just talking about your defense, Coach Flowers, but I mean, what are the pieces on that side of the ball that makes you guys so dominant?
Yeah, well, it's going to start with our defensive coordinator, Barry Tripp. Coach Tripp and I, we worked together. Well, first off, I coached against him when he was the D tackle for Coach Connell Maynor at Winston-Salem State. And so he was the D tackle, and the defensive coordinator that we're going against this weekend, Carlos Fields, he was the linebacker, Mike linebacker for those teams at Winston that were so good. And so it starts with Barry Tripp, outstanding teacher and mentor of the game. And then, he goes with the rest of the defensive staff, have a lot of experience in that defensive staff. David Bowser, who's the former head coach at St. Aug, but we all worked together at Fayetteville State. James Lott, who was he won a championship at Fayetteville State, just a tremendous amount of experience over there. And, we recruited well. And we got two really good linebackers, Benari Black and Jack Smith, some bunch of D linemen. We rotate 6 D tackles. We rotate 6 defensive ends. And, we got better in the secondary. So I just want to say it's a collective effort. But our first thing always is going to be stop the run. And that's what we look to do every single week and hopefully make teams pass.
No doubt. Appreciate that, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Wilton Jackson II, do you have a question for Coach Flowers?
Yes, I do, Coach. It's good to have you on. One of my questions is, you talk about you're not surprised by what you're seeing on Saturdays and what you've seen from your team thus far over the last 4 to 5 weeks. What has been how did you build the buy-in on this year's team, maybe more so that's been different from in previous years?
Well, it really hasn't been the buy-in or anything like that. I have to go from the start in 22. In 2022, when we took over, we said we're going to build this into a championship program, and we're going to, we got a new turf field, we got a new weight room, and some other things, and just, hey, we're going to do it the right way, and that's what we've been doing. You just look at our first year, 22. it was 2-7, but we lost 6 of 7. We lost 6 of 7 by one score or overtime, all decided in the last minute of the game. So we were on the right track. Year 2 was 7-3, go to a bowl game, and all of this is just a continuation. I mean, our goal, we haven't talked about winning championships and things like that. It's just let's get better. And so we had an opportunity to get better after the bowl game. After the bowl game, we had 9 starters coming back on offense, 9 starters coming back on defense, and had a great off season. And then we had spring ball, and really the thing that really helped propel us was, the NCAA. They put that new rule out where you could scrimmage other Division IIs. And so in our location in Charlotte, we have a top 25 team right down the street in Wingate. So we scrimmaged each other, and we went toe-to-toe with them. And so that really helped our program, helped our confidence. I'm not saying that we beat them up and down the field, not saying that at all. But I'm saying we went toe-to-toe. And that just gave us the confidence to go into training camp. And that's what you're seeing right now, just a continuation of everything.
I appreciate it.
Good stuff. Fascinating when you're talking about some of those guidelines. I'm going to let AD Drew come in here and ask a follow-up question, and then I have a question in regards to the bowl opportunity.
Yes, sir. Those Rams.
Drew.
I think he might be on mute.
Yeah, and Drew's working through that. Let me ask you about the bowl, and then we'll come back to Drew.
Yeah.
In terms of being in the room. You alluded to having a chance to play the bowl games. And obviously the new bowl game was in challenging conditions, just with the weather a little bit. But how much do you think that bowl game helped you to kick off things in this early part of the season?
It paid big dividends immediately. What the bowl game gave us was really an early spring practice. I mean, we got 15 to 17 practices of really, and it's not like we were a senior-laden team. We had 75, 80% of our team coming back. And so we had great bowl preparation. And then after the bowl preparation, we took some time off with the Christmas break. And then we came back, we added some really big-time recruits. That came in mid-year. I mean, our starting quarterback right now, Darius Ocean, came in from Valdosta State. Quavaris Crouch, who was a former 5-star recruit, came in. And then we kept that momentum going. Had some really good mid-year recruits. And all that was off the momentum built from going 7-3 and going to the bowl game. And then losing to Fort Valley, where I was former head coach at Fort Valley. A lot of those players we played against were guys that we recruited. And very happy for them. Yeah, very happy for Fort Valley and the program that we were building, and then the job that Coach Gibbs has done. A lot of those players, they, still very close to us, and so losing to that team really gave us a lot of motivation, and it also led to we knew we were going to play some SIAC teams to start the season off. So it just really helped us out with our motivation.
Boy, has the CIAA flipped the script in terms
of
football or the SIAC. Undefeated against the SIAC.
Yes, 6-0.
Major statement across the conference, including your big victories. AD Drew, let me let you jump in here and ask a follow-up question.
Coach Flowers, what's going on, my brother?
All good. All good.
Yeah, of course, I've been a fan of yours since you was at Fort Valley State and you came into the Red Tails Classic and beat my alma mater 2 years in a row. We're not gonna talk about that, except in this sense, Coach Flowers. You've coached in both the SIAC and the CIAA. So if you could kind of talk about the differences between the style of play in the two conferences that you have been successful coaching.
Yeah, I tell you what. I was the CIAA offensive coordinator at Johnson C. Smith and Shaw, and then was fortunate enough to work for Reggie Ruffin at Miles, and we won a SIAC championship together, and then came back to the CIAA Fayetteville State as OC. And so I've seen it as a coordinator on both sides, and then as a head coach at Fort Valley, and now back at Johnson C. Smith. The SIAC, when it comes to fan following, bands, and just all the pageantry, there's only a few schools in the CIAA that can match that, and that's the SIAC. It's different. I remember being at Miles College, and about Wednesday of homecoming week, I'd never seen, they just just start seeing crews painting lines, and I'm like, what's the lines for? And they said those are the tailgate areas. I'm like, okay, and they like, when that over there, that's for the RVs, and the RVs start pulling up on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm like, this is it's past me, and then had the opportunity to the last game of the season to go to the SIC championship with Miles playing Tuskegee for homecoming, senior day. It was just an unbelievable atmosphere, and you get that a lot in the SIAC. And then to be the head coach of Fort Valley, great following there. It's tough to beat. And so when you go to the CIAA, there's a few schools that will bring that week in and week out. Winston-Salem State, Virginia Union has a great following. Virginia State does also. And there's some others in Fayetteville State within the last number of years they have. But week in and week out, the SIAC they've got that hands down. Then when it comes to football on the football field, just both conferences play good ball. I'd say the SIAC probably has been more of a physical conference, but the CIAA definitely has caught up. But the CIAA, when it comes to playoff wins, they have advanced more than the SIAC. The CIAA, Winston-Salem State, and then not long ago, Bowie State have both made runs where the SIAC is still, within the last 10, 15 years, I guess, trying to get over that hump of the first round.
Yeah. Great points you make there, and really
Tuskegee made that run in 14, I think, but I think that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great point there, Drew. As we come to close out the interview, I want to say thank you for your time, but we have some gentlemen on the show that really represent for the Division II HBCU level, that constantly make sure that we kind of go to them. AD Drew is one of them. Stephen Gaither, as you know,
absolutely.
HBCU Game Day does a great job, and he's a
ram. He's a ram.
We use about all the time, and we gonna make sure we talk about that matchup, and we gonna let him know we talk to the coach there in terms of what that looks like. We also have a couple of other guys that give us some love in terms of Tuskegee framework, if you would. I don't know what it is about Winston-Salem State, Tuskegee. They want to make sure they heard.
Well, they're going to be. They play next year in the Red Tails. I'm sorry, I probably wasn't supposed to say that yet. I'm sorry.
No, hey, that's what we do. You good with that inside HBCU? That's why we ask folks to listen, because you're gonna get the best brightest here.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, I did want to ask you, when we talk to them, so much focus on the Division II level is going to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And so, unlike the SWAC and MEAC, as I'm sure, at least from afar, you have the understanding of how that rivalry between the two conferences is pretty significant. Whenever they play, people want those bragging rights, and then obviously you got the MEAC SWAC Challenge to open things up.
Yes.
And you have the Celebration Bowl. Now you have the Hall of Fame Classic, which is going to feature the champions of the previous year, the CIAA and SIEC. What are your thoughts about the relationship between SIEC, CIAA? Would you like to see more matchups, or are you kind of like the focus where you're saying let's have these matchups but focus on the Division II playoffs?
I'm all for the matchups of the two conferences, and the relationships I would say are really good with the two commissioners. That's where it would start. You look at, first off, our commissioner, the CIAA, Jackie. She does a fantastic job promoting our conference, not just with the CIAA basketball tournament, but with football. I mean, she's making it a priority that football gets out there more, like basketball. And then you go to the SIAC. I mean, the commissioner of the SIAC, that's my guy, Dr. Anthony Holloman. He went to Johnson C. Smith University. We were actually teammates for 3 years. And he hired me at Fort Valley State when he was the athletic director there. Know him very well, and just know that he is very progressive and innovative. And he wants, I know he wants the two conferences to play against each other more. And I would be all for it. It'd be great for Division IIs, being the Division II playoffs and things like that. But sometimes it's, the matchups and the geography, it just matches up better some with the two conferences. And then you just get more fanfare. I mean, you just, I just think it's win-win all over.
Great stuff. Last one here. Let you give a shout out to your fans that support you, your administration, if you would.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
certainly keep up with you the rest of the season and make sure you come back as you continue to develop through the season. We want to talk about some of these key matchups near the end of the season.
Yes, and we've got a big one coming up. But I tell you, we have a great great leadership at JCSU. Our 15th president, Dr. Valerie Kinlock, coach. She's a supportive person of coaches. I'll say that. She's a Smithite. She graduated in '96. We're actually in the same class, and she loves our university, and really she's been behind just the support financially, which is what it takes at our level, at every level. But she's been behind it, and our board of trustees, our chairman of the board, Stephen Boyd, does a great job. He's a big time sports fan, and I tell you what, Golden Bulls Nation, as you grow your program and start winning, you start gaining, your alumni base and more fans. And I'm really proud of what we're building, because it doesn't come overnight to just all of a sudden have a big time following. But I'm very, very happy and very proud of what we're building and what we're building together. Our fans traveling on the road, and our fans, how they're showing up at home, it's exciting to be a part of. And then also had some history this week at Johnson C. Smith. First time in the school's history that we've been ranked in the top 25.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. And what we want to do is we want to try to stay there is what we want to do. So we had a big week of practice and a big time opponent coming in Virginia State, coming to visit us. Coach Henry Frazier, fantastic coach. Coach Frazier, I mean, he's done great things. I mean, you have to go back and watch what he did, how he built Bowie State, and then the job that he did at Prairie View when they were on that losing streak. Who brought him out of it and built that program? That was Henry Frazier. And so, outstanding coach. We know we have our work cut out for us. And just want to say thank you again, gentlemen, for the job that you do and in the platform that you provide. Thank you very much.
No problem, Coach. We look forward to the matchup and look forward to you seeing continue to do great things. As you know, Prairie View alum, so I certainly know about Dr. Henry Frazier III. I was actually at his dissertation. Right. So I'm not going to cheer too hard for him this weekend, because I want to see Golden Bulls continue to get it done. Don't tell him I said that now. He's going to have a problem with it. Hopefully he not watching. With that, we're going to take a quick break, come back on the other side, and I think we not have another great interview for you. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Grab me one too.
Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have one other than Coach Eddie Keaton, Clark Atlanta University Panthers, coming straight off the practice field. Thank you, Coach, for your time.
Glad to be here with you guys, man.
How did practice go, Coach?
We're still practicing now. We're still practicing.
We won't hold you too long because we don't want to be the reason that you come back and be like, look, hey, you took me from a practice.
I think they're in good hands.
I know that's right. That's what I like. That's the mindset and attitude I like, Coach. With that being said, Coach, you're 4-0-1, as you know, 3-0 in the conference play. We told everybody preseason that you were going to be good. I know you had rat poison, but you were focusing on the players to make sure they knew it. But we tried to tell the world. Now you're getting it done on the field, and you're starting to make a lot of believers. Tell us a little bit about how you're getting it done for those that don't know.
I mean, we still got a long ways to go. defensively, we're not playing up to the level that we need to play up to. And offensively, last week we kind of stalled in areas, and we got to figure out a way to play a better half in the first half of the game. And I mean, starting the fast and finishing strong. I think we've done a good job of finishing strong, but we have not did a good job of starting fast. I'm always trying to find a way to improve us. I think David Wright's playing at a high level. I think Amon Harris is playing at a high level. We just got to get some more plays on the defense with a few more stops, and maybe I might start feeling a little comfortable about where we're going.
Coach Keaton, you've spoken just like a head coach. Need to do a little more before I get too excited. With that being said, Charles, jump in here and ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, Coach, let me ask you about two of the top receivers in the SIAC when you talk about Jamal Jones and Armon Harris. Like, how do you figure out who gets the ball? Because they both 36 catches, 31 catches. You got some options out there.
I think it's more the quarterback and play calling. I think we do a good job of distributing, getting them open, and designing plays that will allow them to have the opportunity to get the ball in your playmakers' hands. I think any good coach that knows the game and understands the game, if you got a playmaker, you got to feed him. So you got to make sure that they get the ball, and we got to make sure we design things that give them an opportunity to be successful on the field.
No doubt about it. Appreciate that, Coach.
With that, Wilton Jackson, the second. Go ahead and ask, Coach.
Coach, I've been, following you since you made the comments in the beginning of the season. And I was telling somebody, before the first game, I said, like, I won't pretend like I've watched every Clark Atlanta game, but I can assure you, I had missed any point of a Clark Atlanta game this season. But I want to say this. You talk about the defense not necessarily being where you want it to be right now. What are some of the challenges that Savannah State presents to you guys, and what's been the message to your defense this week?
I mean, I don't think it's necessary. We always talk about how we play, what we bring to the table, getting lined up correctly, making sure. I mean, Savannah State's a gimmicky offense. They like to do a lot of different things. A lot of things sometimes don't make a lot of sense. So they can catch you on what I call raggedy plays. So what hurts us if we don't get lined up to their formations the way we need to get lined up, and we got to get every player doing what every player is supposed to do. In other words, you need to do your job. Don't try to do somebody else's job. If you fit in the C gap, fit in the C gap. Don't try to, you'll hear me say this word, don't let me come out. When I say don't let me come out, a lot of kids that have a lot of tremendous amount of athletic ability tend to lean more towards their athletic ability and not on what's been taught to them, how to do it, and what to do, how to do it, and why it's important for them to do it that way. And sometimes those type players cost you ball games. I'll take an average kid that'll give me above average effort and do what he told to do, and we'll beat anybody in the country with him.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Coach.
Appreciate that, Coach.
I like that. With that being said, AD Drew, before I let AD Drew get in here and ask this question, that means we're doing our job. Wilton is now you paying attention, as well as Coach Keaton doing the job as well, getting your interest in there. AD Drew, go ahead.
I think he's muted again.
Yeah, I think he's having a little trouble in terms of being.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
All right, Coach. I'm not going to put any additional rat poison out. No more than Dr. Cavil put out earlier in the season to you. But I do want to ask you a generic question, spinning forward. Okay. We know right now, CIAA, SIAC, their teams go to the Division II playoffs. If there were an option, i.e. similar to the Celebration Bowl for Division II teams to go to it, would you be in favor or not in favor of the two conference champions meeting together in a championship type game in lieu of going to the Division II playoffs, where, let's be real, our HBCUs have not had a whole lot of success, not named Winston-Salem State?
Absolutely. I'm all for that. I'm a pro. We do our own thing. We make our own money. I think it generates the funds for us. I think we're mismatched from the funding side. I think we mismatched from a player standpoint side, and sometimes we even mismatch from a level of coaches that they're able to hire at the price that they're paying for them and the price that we're unwilling to pay for them at our black schools. So if we are willing to just go out and play against each other, we have a better chance of drawing a crowd, getting people involved, and especially if the matchups are good. So I've been for that for a long time now.
Oh, appreciate you for sharing that perspective, Coach. I know we need to let you get back to it, but I want to have one follow-up question in terms of what that looks like. I want to ask you in terms of what you're doing on your social media platform, particularly for Clark Atlanta University football. You have a lot of updates, a lot of pictures, a production part that you're putting together. Where did that idea come from, and why is that important?
Well, you got to keep up with the trends of the day. Where our kids live at is on social media. So I got to present that picture so they can see it. Everybody don't have an opportunity to take a trip to Atlanta, or maybe not have the funds, especially the type of kids you're trying to recruit. They might not have an opportunity or nobody to drive them up for a visit. So the more I can put out there, the more they can see, the more they want to be involved in it. And I think that we do our whole schools or our whole programs a disservice by not keeping it updated. Like I get on the RSID about making sure the live stats work, the score work. There's media people like you guys, like yourself, who want to report the game and want to tweet about the game, but we don't have the right stuff up there. So now it may take 2 days to get the score of a game somewhere, and that's just unacceptable. If you want to be respected in the conference, you want to be respected across the nation, you got to do the small things. And I think our social media platform is opening up some of these coaches to, even if they lived in the Stonewall age and don't have a social media, they need to understand that's where recruitment live, regardless of what they feel about it.
Yes, sir.
Great points. You'll get nothing but applause for us. And we certainly want to do service, but it's hard to do that service if we don't get the information, which is why we appreciate you doing the extra mile, literally in terms of practice, making sure we get a chance to have this interview. So I'll close out on this one, give you a chance to shout out your Clark Atlanta Panther, your fans, alumni. I've seen they've been following, coming out deep and supporting you in regards to that, and your administration in terms of what they get to support you to do what you're doing now.
It was a little bit of a hassle at first, but I understood the years of losing. But Dr. Drew and Dr. French and those guys have, I've held up my end of the bargain, so they're holding up theirs. So I'm proud of the alumni. I mean, I didn't really know that they had this many alumni in the Groves they have it in, but the last home game we had nearly 4,000 people here, and a lot of the people that's been here said we haven't seen that many people. They thought it was over. So maybe this Saturday they'll show up to support us against Savannah State, and hopefully we can keep everything in the road. And the kids' energy is good, the fans' energy is good. You can hear the band in the background practicing, the softball team practicing. We're just setting the stage for everybody else to just make Clark Atlanta a winner. Go Panthers!
Go Panthers! I like it, Coach.
Panthers.
That being said, continue to do what you're doing. Certainly want to continue to support you. You make it easy to support what's going on. So can't wait till I get a chance to get there live to catch out one of those games in the Clark Atlanta Panther Stadium. I promise you.
Well, we appreciate everything you guys do, the platform you provide and the services that you provide. And I hope our colleagues do a better job of getting you guys the information so you can continue to provide that platform for all of us coaches, players, and everybody else that want to see HBCU football be great.
That's a deal. We'll keep doing it. They keep bringing it. Appreciate you. Let me let you get back to practice. Give me a text or call. Let me know how practice ended, Coach.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, take care.
That'll be great.
That being said, we'll take our last break. We'll come back on the other side with the close of the show. Thank you, Coach Keaton.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be. You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel. Yes! That's how you waffle!
Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer. Go for key. Even the ultimate pool float inflator. With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true. Gotta get the corners.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working.
Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we give you a couple of thoughts before we close out things, I want to go around and say, what are your key matchups of the weekend? Obviously, the one that we'll focus on and get a little more into on Thursday, for me, again, a pair of top 7 matchups coming out of the CIAA. I like what AD Drew said. We'll see if we can get some top 7 matchups in the SIAC in the coming weeks, as maybe these teams kind of beat each other up. But right now, the star of the show is the CIAA. We have a matchup that features number 7 going down to number 1. That is Virginia State University at Johnson C. Smith, number 1 there. So intriguing matchup there. So I want to get your thoughts in terms of what that looks like, Charles. And the other matchup, before I do that, is number 3, Winston-Salem State at number 5, Virginia Union. Those are the 2 top key matchup featuring top 7 programs, both out of the CIAA and the conference game as well. That, or are you going in a different direction of key games you want to watch this weekend, Charles? You're on mute, Charles.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think the matchup that really intrigues me is Winston-Salem State and Virginia Union. When you take a look at Winston-Salem, they are the 3rd-ranked defense in the CIAA, surrendering only 14 points per game, going against the number 1 offense in the CIAA. And not only can Virginia Union, can they run the football. We know what Jada Byers can do, but they can throw the football a little bit too. When you got a quarterback this past week who went for really thrash Shaw. When you take a look at what he was able to do, Mark Wright, 19 of 24, 294 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I'm really intrigued about that matchup. And of course, we talked about Johnson C. Smith and Virginia State. That's intriguing as well. Can Virginia State put some points on the board against this tough Johnson C. Smith defense?
Wilton Jackson II. What direction you going with your top matchup to keep your eyes on this week?
So I'm going to pivot to the SWAC. I know Charles mentioned the CIAA. So I'm going to pivot to the SWAC. I'm going to say, obviously, FAMU and Alabama State. You're talking about a FAMU team that didn't get a chance to play against Alabama A&M last week due to Hurricane Helene. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond coming off what you would call essentially another bye week. I mean, granted, they had they didn't get a chance to play from the storm, but that's extra time that, hopefully, players stayed safe during that time. Players could get, fresher legs to come into this game. So I'm interested to see that. I mean, I also, too, my big thing, I was telling somebody this weekend with Alabama State, I know their defense is going to be lights out. I'm never worried about the defense from Alabama State. The issue that I have with Alabama State is, can they continuously score enough points to win a game? I was sitting in the press box in Houston with you guys, and I remember they were leading Bethune-Cookman, 21-6 or something like that. And before you knew it, the final score of the game was 26-21. I'm thinking, like, where did these additional points come from? You know, and I knew that Bethune-Cookman could score because they had already shown that in a couple of weeks. But I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not saying they were struggling with Bethune-Cookman, but what I am saying is they're gonna definitely have to be able to score to potentially beat FAMU in that particular regard. And then, of course, you got Jackson State and Alabama A&M. Jackson State coming out the big win against Texas Southern. Alabama A&M, for me, I'm still trying to figure out where they are. They play multiple quarterbacks. Coach Taylor talked about it in his press conference, the multiple quarterbacks and, you know, the defense, what they like to do. So, Gulf Coast Challenge, you know, neutral site game. Both teams will likely travel. This is a game that Jackson State needs. Both teams need it, but I definitely think that you're brave. If you're Jackson State, you're opening up SWAC each play. So this could really set the tone for them to get the game. Or if you're Alabama A&M, if you're Connor Maynard, you beat Jackson State, that could change some things.
Man, very great points you make on that. And essentially, when you talk about that FAMU Alabama State game, as Alabama State is not in the top 7, but they're right outside receiving votes, essentially at the 9 spot. So you do have a 2 versus 9 matchup. So that's a great one when you talk about even looking at head-to-head at this early part of the season in the Eastern Division matchup, much like you said about Alabama A&M and Jackson State, where you have Alabama A&M just touching in at 10. So you essentially have a 4 versus 10 matchup when you look at it from that perspective. So great call when you're talking about these top 10 matchups when you look at the couple of teams outside of the major division top 7 that we do. With that being said, AD Drew, give me a couple of matchups that you're keen to look at this weekend coming up.
Well, sticking with the major division, I want to look outside of the conference matchup and look at 2 non-conference matchups. Prairie View and Incarnate were the 2 matchups that I'm going to be intrigued with to see how our HBCUs do as they go outside of their comfort zone, i.e. the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Those are the 2 key matchups that I want to take a look at in that conference. Also, I would like to look at South Carolina State, Tennessee Tech. You know, Tennessee State defeated Tennessee Tech, was defeated by Tennessee Tech a couple of weeks ago. So I want to see if South Carolina State is actually able to knock off this
Great points when you talk about some of those key matchups. When you look at non-conference FCS matchups, Prairie View and Incarnate Word, they've played FCS programs. They've had some success, 3 wins over FCS programs when you go back to 2021. But they hadn't had much success against Incarnate Word that's playing pretty good. But that'll be interesting to see what that is. Incarnate Word comes in at 2-2. And then you talk about Nichols and Southern. Southern has had over the years have good matchups with Nichols, but as of late, that hasn't necessarily been the case. Nichols does just come in at 1-3, with Southern coming in at 2-2. So fascinating when you talk about those matchups. We've seen what South Carolina State did earlier this year in terms of their matchup with the Citadel getting a non-conference win for the MEAC. So I agree with you. That's a fascinating watch when you talk about Tennessee Tech, particularly just after playing Tennessee State a couple of weeks ago. We have Tennessee State in the top 7 along with South Carolina State jumping back in there. So I'm intrigued about those matchups, and like yourself, I'll have an eye on that. With that being said, that'll bring it to a close today. Great comments. I hope you fans enjoyed the interview, giving some updates in terms of what's going on in the mid-major division as we released our poll rankings today. You got some insight about how the coaches think about some of these matchups, and both of them were on board and seeing more matchups. Specifically, you heard Coach Teddy Keaton talking about the need to look at even a CIAA SIAC bowl game that would crown a mid-major champion officially on the field. Be interesting to see what kind of buzz that gets with some of the talk on social media this week, particularly between those mid-major folks. I'm in a chat with them, so I'm going to see what their vibe is after I make sure I share this. So good to see that we had this talk and great questions that y'all brought to the table today. With that being said, thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, AD Drew, always showing up and making sure he finds a way to get it done. And again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday and Sunday at 9 to give you the updates and let you know what you saw on Saturday in terms of the key matchups. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I still call it X because I can. It's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyatta Cavil, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Wilton?
Lecture.
Drew? He's in that weather with that nice delay.
Dismissed.
Yeah, exactly.
I had it perfectly. I know.